bad things do happen to great people, and sometimes beautiful things happen too, and that through suffering there really can be elevation, and out of some terrible things there comes a beautiful light. And I think you're going to hear about all of that today.
We're talking about the humanity behind the headlines today, and you're going to get some really special glimpses of that. So many of us have been affected by the opioid epidemic, what we're now calling an opioid epidemic.
Today, I would like to share a very intimate and very personal part of my life story with you all.
I want to tell you a story of success. I've been a client at Coastal Horizons going on 10 years now.
Opioid addiction is a vicious trap. Once it takes hold of you, it will be the fight of your life to get out. But as you look upon me today, please know that it is a battle that can be won.
Preventing and treating addiction is one of the major focuses of Coastal Horizons in promoting choices for healthier lives and safer communities.
The reason I joined the Board of Trustees for Coastal Horizons, the reason I wake up every morning excited to be your district attorney, is I believe that many of the tragedies we see are preventable. And when we talk about the opioid epidemic, the heroin epidemic that's gripping this country, and indeed we're the tip of the spear here. There's a young man who was 28 years old. He had been up all night, we now know. He had been delivering fish all afternoon and morning. And now he was in that box truck coming back to Carolina Beach, going southbound on 17, and never hit the brakes. He ran into Gentry's car, and it started a chain reaction. Gentry's car caromed first into his wife's car and then off to the side, and the box truck kept going. Eventually, of course, the truck crushed her roof, and little Dobbs was killed instantly.
And over the next 48 hours, our world was turned upside down. We went from the highs of expecting shortly to greet our second son and bring him into the world to the lows of just being back to the two of us. We are so thankful again for the work that Coastal Horizons does to prevent these type of situations from happening, for working for rehabilitation in the lives of those who struggle with addiction, which is something that definitely is on our hearts now, that we would like to see people who struggle with addiction find freedom from that and rehabilitation, anybody who is facing any type of addiction.
We're seeing that about 80% of the people who are suffering from heroin addiction right now had their first start with an addictive prescription painkiller.
For the first time that I took that opioid, I thought to myself, okay, this is what happiness really feels like out there.
We hear that it's the #1 cause of accidental death. It's even more than car crashes. Could we even have fathomed that idea 5 years ago, 10 years ago?
I was at one of the lowest points in my life when I opened up the phone book and found Coastal Horizons.
There are also these courageous steps that people take every day to find recovery.
Today, I placed tiny mustard seeds on all of your tables. This is something that symbolically shows you guys how much hope and faith that I had for myself to actually recover when I opened the doors of Coastal Horizons. Coastal Horizons took that tiny bit of hope and they nurtured it by giving me everything I needed, but never could find in just one place.
So I went from that dead-end job, the drug use, the hopelessness, to having a master's degree and holding a clinical license in the state of North Carolina.
I know that I am no longer held down by my past. I now stand firmly on it as my platform to success in every area of my life.
I'm also reminded of why I really am all in with Coastal Horizons and their mission, which is promoting choices for healthier lives in safer communities.
I was finally growing as a person. Finally. Coastal helped me create something so beautiful inside myself.
And I ask you, if a beautiful couple like this, who has suffered more than anyone else in this room possibly could imagine or even dream up, if they can look into the man who took their babies away and find forgiveness and compassion and see not an addict, but a man struggling for addiction. If they can do that, don't you think you can? That has ripples all their own. And that kindness and compassion that you just heard overflowing from this stage is not confined to the Eddings, although they're the best example I've ever seen of it. It's in each and every one of us. This is bigger. Our chief of police can tell you this. These judges can tell you. My brother certainly can tell you. This is bigger than police and prosecutors and prisons can handle on their own. This is not an issue we can arrest our way out of. Return on investment, what's a life worth? What's a tragedy cost? You spend $1 in treatment to save 8 in incarceration. Our jail's filled enough with people who need to be there. We don't need to be doing that with drug-addicted people and folks who are struggling with mental illness. That's where Coastal Horizons comes in.
Thank you again for sharing your stories with us. We truly do appreciate it more than you can know.
Today, my family and I are no longer barely holding on, but we are and have become recovery strong. Thank you guys for being here.